So it's time to kind of invite the first speaker of day 2, Dr. Aloknath, CTO of Samsung India, to come on stage and give us his view of what's going on. So a little bit of Dr. Alok. He's the CTO of Samsung R&D Institute India and also Senior VP for Digital Media and Communication activities in Bangalore. Dr. Dey has more than 25 years of industrial and research experiences, including the most recent one in ST Ericsson, where he was a director and country head. He holds a BTech from IIT Kharagpur, ME from IISc Bangalore, and PhD from McGill University, Montreal. He's a recipient of Alexander Graham Bell Prize in Canada and received IET Memorial Awards in India. Dr. Dey has served as an adjunct professor with IIT Delhi and also as an AICTE INAE Distinguished Visiting Professor with IIT Roorkee. Senior member of IEEE and fellows of IE, IETE, and INAE. So Alok, over to you. Thank you.
Set the slides. Yeah. Okay, good morning. And Dr. Rai here and the August gathering. Again, my pleasure, honor to be here. Thanks to the organizers. We're going to talk about smart things and cognitive IoT. That's a topic that I set, and I'm sure a lot has been talked yesterday. But in my talk, I'm going to bring some of the elements of concepts, theories, but also what we are doing in Samsung to take this forward. So it'll be a mix of things as we see. First of all, do you know, it's things, it's that intelligence of things when you talk about what is this devices, that's an important component. And the way I look into it is, I call it 3 classes of devices. One is an elephant class, which is your TV and the refrigerator that are immobile, sitting somewhere, but have some power. The second is a horse class. That's your wearables and the phones and Gear VR, all of these are trotting with you as a personal device. And the third thing, what I call it as a rat class, all the sensors that are sticking somewhere, probably just sending information, but not the beneficiary of its own, but other kind of decisions are being made from there. Some are having displays, some are displayless, and all together, we have this fantastic set of devices that you can see. We just had a Samsung developer conference 3 weeks back. I was there, and we had a fantastic gathering of 3 days. One of the important projects that we talked about, Project Ambience there. I mean, what it does is, you know, you talk to a device, but you might be standing somewhere else. So it should be able to detect and then throw that content over there. If I'm starting in my mobile something to see, but if I reach to my car, it should come to the dashboard on navigation. So it has all those interesting components in this Project Ambience. But what also from device standpoints, what we looked into it is, there are many dumb devices. There are legacy systems that are already in place. Can we not convert them into intelligent devices and bring them, include them into our IoT ecosystems in a broad sense? So we started talking about extra dongles, and what you can see in this is our EVP Injong Ri, who was presenting, and some of those devices are intelligent, some are dumb, and we kind of converted them into being part of the whole system. How do we combine all of this? In our ecosystems, it's an open standard of Tizen. You know, this is an operating system because you need to bind them. So as far as Samsung is concerned, our TVs are now 70% have moved to Tizen. The Gear VR, the watch, all of those are Tizen. We launched about 4 smartphones, Z1 to Z4, over time in last 2 years, that are based out of Tizen. So we have a Tizen ecosystem. Obviously, you can bring any other devices also into this, but that's our basic. All those different classes that I talked about, elephant, horse, and rat, they have an equivalent versions of macro, micro, and a nano profile of Tizen, which is connecting into this device. At the last leg, what we call as Tizen real time, it started like a tiny era. You know, you can have a power constrained devices that uses JavaScript and JavaScript, and then you can have your native applications, web applications. All together, we kind of made it a Tizen RT, Tizen real-time. We have our own Arctic modules, but you have many other devices with Broadcom and many other companies that we can use our Tizen RT to make it part of the ecosystem. So this is first our things that bring as many devices as possible into the ecosystem. When you look into that, then it brings to three important aspects which we are looking into. One is an easy setup. Do you believe that when you have so many devices, you can learn how to set them up and have the time to do so? Probably not. Therefore, what we are looking at, enroller, mediator, and enrollee. You can call controller and controllee. In this IoT ecosystems, there would be things that will be controlled, but then there would be things that will play an intermediate role of controller, not always going to the cloud, not to the hub, but even simple soft AP kind of access points that will play the role. If you look into the left side, you can see that you can have just open out of the box your washing machine and get the credentials, AP credentials, Wi-Fi access point credentials from the smartphone, go connect to the host IP, and then get that Wi-Fi AP's access point and connect to the transfer to the cloud access. So this is your easy setup. You want to do plug and play. You want to have just connecting there, and it should start working. So that's an important component. The second important component, and that's, I think, the forenoon sessions quite theme, and I heard that a lot of discussion has happened, so I'll not dare to talk too much here. But the second important aspect is access and authentication. So one is a broad aspect of vulnerability security part, but even to connect your devices, when you have hundreds of devices that are running, and I saw that yesterday's report that in US today, 20 devices on an average are getting connected per person. And if you look into that, so you have three aspects. One is your trusted hardware modules, your secure boot, secure OS that's in that execution environment will ensure that the device is protected. Device is doing its part of it. On the other extreme, you see mobile applications. You have the smartphone, and you want to connect. You have your user data encryptions, different algorithms that are available. But then you do an OAuth authorizations with your cloud in which all kinds of over-the-air security verifications, authentications will happen. When you do that, you have three sets. You have your password pins, you have your patterns, and you have your biometric kind of information, which is iris, fingerprint, and your face recognitions, which are all part of the other ecosystems, by the way. So this is your broad picture, and what has to happen is not just that I will be able to type out my password and even iris and fingerprint. How long can you do? System needs to detect. The device needs to talk to another device on its own. Device also has its information and can verify and find it out that can I allow this person to continue, and from time to time ask him some specific questions. So this is this access and authentication. The third thing that goes is the connectivity part of it. IoT connectivity. There is a forum called Open Connectivity Foundation, and this is doing good job. We had from Intel and Samsung, we started an OIC, and then we had Microsoft and Qualcomm. They had that all seen, all join. Now we have all joined forced and started this standard and open source consortiums, OCF. And this is a member list that is there, about 375 members. We are working hard, and in fact, we are going to be starting first India event workshop 15th of November. In fact, I tried for this time, but it didn't work. So we'll have a special sessions, and hopefully next year we could talk a success from this particular chapter. What does they do? And this is that IoTVT technology. On one hand, you have all these connectivity layers. You have your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, Zigbee. They have their own alliances, so they don't talk about this. But you have your Ant Plus, the LoRa, Sigfox, all those that are coming. They are needed. because sometimes you have a high throughput, sometimes you have a low throughput. You want to cover a small range, you want to cover a wide range. You have a power constrained device, you have a lots of power in the device. So they need to have separate kind of connectivity, and again, in the spirit of including more and more devices, any ecosystem that are working in the industrial or other forums, we are trying to include them through this OCF. Second layer is your middleware, discovery, data transmission, device management, security is all pervasive, and then you have your profiles that goes to the verticals of enterprise, industrial, automotive. So up to this is your IoT Now or IoT Now Plus, whatever you would like to call it. That's your sense, analyze, and react. Sense, analyze, react. This is what we are doing, but this is reality, and this has to be done quite well. But as we flip through, this is what I talk about, the cognitive IoT. I'm sure there are elements that have been talked about yesterday in terms of machine learning and others, but let me give some examples. We can do recommendations, identify habits of users, and provide context-aware recommendations. You know, you can have, if I take breakfast every day, then a recommendation for me that there is a new cereals that have come is meaningful. If I never take breakfast, don't show me that, right? That's context-aware recommendation. Simple example. Automations. I go out of home, I put the balcony light on, put the fans off, have a security lock. This is a sequence of events that's happening. Can I automate that? I learn from the system that every day you follow this pattern. I don't need to ask you to do all those fours. Can I combine this, a macro, and say, click? You can choose it to make it an automated routine, but one routine. It's not 4 routines, it's one routine for you, and it gets detected. And then detections, missed activities. Again, as I said, you take breakfast, you missed one day, it may remind you, would you like to take it or have a quick fruit juice? You take every day's breakfast. Again, these are simple examples, but meaningful in our daily life. And you can think of many such cases. So the bottom line of this cognitive IoT is that today's IoT, from the connectivity layer, we have already moved to the data analytics, which is helping into different B2B enterprises, and going into the next level where I combine the AI, data-based learning, reasoning, understanding. That's what it brings as cognitive IoT. In the context of IoT smart home, obviously you can think of the examples that I gave, and nothing specific, but all the things that you are doing, your energy management, what washing, clothing, what kind of temperatures that you set, you all can figure it out, and it can give it. Even if you by mistake you put something with a higher temperature, probably it could detect that this is a cloth of linen of this type, and therefore it needs to be reduced. Either gives us a message or does it on its own. That's a separate part of it as an action. So this is a pictorial view broadly. I will not go into it, but that's how we are doing it. SmartThings is a company that we took, and then we combined our Arctic Cloud, Samsung Connect, SmartThings Cloud all together, and this time in the Samsung Developer Conference, we announced this as an overall cloud, and then SDK-based solutions that people are building for all these kinds of interesting use cases. Second part of this is that one part just before what I talked about is about the cloud. So you have your IoT cloud, but you can also add an intelligence cloud. And that intelligence cloud to this IoT cloud will be talking to each other and giving that context of the recommendations I talked about, breakfast at all, could be coming from there, that this person is taking it or not taking it, and then feeding it into this IoT to do it. You can also have third-party cloud. You can have an operator cloud who has the billing service, and you can bring it this. So cloud-to-cloud integration is an important part in this, and intelligence cloud will play a significant role. The second part, as I was telling, is that hub, the edge analytics that you talked about, that's important, the gateway. We all know the IoT is about information technology and the operational technology, which comes as a domain of your education, of your health, and you want to combine. But important things is it's not the cloud, it's not the device. They will do their part well, but it's this hub and this secondary intelligence cloud, they will bring that cognitive aspect of it. The way cloud can do many things, but then your hub, for example, you are worried about personal information going out. You're worried about the latency in many of the applications. Therefore, you can have your family hub. You can have your kind of personal cloud at home where you can have those informations between the family members to take it. So gateway is an important component. And we have developed a family hub that also we have announced it. This family hub, our refrigerator has inside cameras even to see whether the foods are getting finished or not. Whatever is left out, can we make a Bengali shukto with the left out items? So those are elements of that. But what is it doing is home management, the food, what to be ordered, what's getting finished, health, calorific information, shopping, ordering from there, and the entertainment to some extent. To such device at home can be the hub and can connect your other household goods in that sense. What we have also done is brought Bixby, which is our voice intelligent interface. So therefore, you don't need to go and stand next to it and press those buttons, but you can even give it commands to do it, and it can order for you. So this is the second aspect of it. So what I wanted to highlight, it's a big topic, and it's just starting to open. So instead of answering all questions, as we progress, I'm sure we will be able to give you more information. But in this last slide, I wanted to highlight some of the aspects that we are looking at. So looking beyond surface, making devices intelligent is crux of it. The second part of it is understanding natural language. If I say, what's the weather, how is the weather, what's the temperature today, it all means the same. I should be able to talk my way and not the device way. Device should understand human, and not human should talk like the device. So that's the fundamental shift that we are trying to bring through this cognitive IoT. Will devices be able to respond back to me with the answers? With degrees of confidence. What's the degree of confidence? I want to know that too, because do I take the answer or not? Contextually, if I say, I'm running out of gas, without this, I'm not going to have dinner tonight. I'm running out of gas, without this, I'm not going to reach airport. This to gas has two different contexts, and that's the meaning of this, and we are talking about a conversation dialogues. Can devices understand the end user at the psychographic segmentation level? People with disease A, B, C, can I classify? It's not about gender, it's not about age, it's about any cuts that I want to have it to analyze something, can I do so? Do I have enough data to do that? And at cohort level, that's also same, age group 25 to 34, 35 onwards, that's what it is. Can devices be configured and accessed seamlessly that I talked about? Can system be sensing all kinds of information in cyber physical system? It is no longer a physical system, it's also a digital system. Also with AR, VR, it will become a virtual system. So these three things, how do you tie up an answer? Is system aware of vulnerabilities? One thing is to deal with it, but is it aware? And then do you have mechanisms to counteract? Can it prune? If a part is kind of gangrened, can I cut that out? And if I cut that out and when it comes back, can it self-heal? This is a big topic of research of pruning and self-healing. Can queries be responded with time-constrained approximate answers? Time is more important than the right answer. Bangalore weather, I want to know now. And so if you don't get from the nodes, get it from edge and give me now. So time-constrained approximate answers. So this talk is all about just to highlight the point that how we are doing sense, analyze, react in today's world through Samsung products. I tried to give some examples, but also trying to tell you that it's going to be moving into the IoT plus AI and not just react, but act and proact. From Samsung, we have the Arctic as the module, Tizen as the operating systems, IoTVT with open source for connectivity, Samsung Connect and SmartThings Cloud, that's for the cloud, Family Hub and many other hubs that are there, and finally, the voice intelligent interface, that's Bixby. For us, all these together, we build this cognitive IoT. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alok. Thank you. So we just have time for just one question. Okay?
Hello. Yeah. So one thing I want to ask, if using Tizen and all your modules, can we create a system such that I have a device from Philips, other device from some other switch company which controls my fan, security from other company, and can we have a contraption of them working together?
Yeah, so that's one of the goal. That's one of the goal. Obviously, some of the bigger devices probably we have not connected, and it's a bigger journey and a lot of intricate information that need to be available to do that. But in terms of the smaller devices, many startups, like in Tizen, probably we work with 200 plus companies that we are working in India. So if we look into that, bringing them on board with Raspberry Pi if they're doing, or with Arctic, or with any other boards and sensors, it's much more easier because it's much more controlled. Although we have to have a variety of solutions, it takes more time to do it, but we have. But if your question is the bigger devices, first of all, we are trying to make sure that all Samsung devices work well, seamlessly, without much of authentication issues, and then obviously we'll take it forward. For that, those forums of OCF, Thread, all those are playing a crucial role. And we can talk more.
Thank you. Thanks, Alok.
Thank you.
Thank you for that interesting kickoff. I'd like to be here. Yeah. Request Sandeep Garg, President of IESA, to kind of give away a memento to Alok.